first thing I want to do is just give you an overview of the work that the county has asked us to do. We are going to be looking at the competitive environment in the county. We will be talking to both the cable, the telephone company, and any independent ISPs in the county. And we will be mapping cell towers, identifying existing fiber, and looking at, particularly with respect to the internet, what services are available, how much they cost, and what companies are offering those services. As you may know, we have a market study underway right now with residential and business surveys out, and there's actually links to those in the chat section. And as of last night, I did not check. I may have a minute to check later, but I think we had about 1,300 surveys have already been returned, and we are still getting more every day. We're going to be looking at what can be done to improve technology in unserved and underserved areas of the county. Some of that may be wireless technology, wireless broadband. Some of it may be fiber to the home. We will look at each area of the county and identify the best fit for each area of the county. We will look at ownership and governance options, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the later slides. And for some of these solutions that we recommend, we will also provide estimates of costs so the county has a good understanding of what the challenges are in terms of funding. We'll look at partnership options. I can tell you that across the United States, there are many local governments, especially at the county level and rural areas, that are trying to develop partnerships, constructive partnerships with ISPs, the telephone, the cable companies. We don't typically recommend that local government become an internet service provider. We don't think local government ought to be competing with the telephone and cable companies, but rather help them to expand their market territory, be able to offer better services, and offer more affordable services. We'll look at funding and financing options. It's an interesting time because the federal government is providing a substantial amount of new funding, specifically earmarked for broadband. There was some available in 2021 under the CARES program, and in 2022 under the ARPA, or American Rescue Program. And there's also some other federal agencies like Housing and Urban Development, Federal Communications Commission, and USDA that are all have increased levels of funding. So there is a possibility that there could be some very interesting and useful solutions in new infrastructure in Carbon County using federal funding. Finally, we'll have a final report that integrates all our findings. We start with a clean sheet of paper when we visit a locality, and we'll be doing that for Carbon County. We don't take a one-size-fits-all approach to broadband. As I mentioned in the previous slide, we spend a lot of time mapping both the terrain for wireless and looking at where there is a need for new towers for fixed point wireless. We look at where fiber might be needed to promote economic and community development to help to attract or retain businesses and jobs in the county. In terms of wireless, we also look at wireless hotspots. There's a lot of tourism in Carbon County, and there have been some studies that show that having good internet connectivity, free internet connectivity in downtown areas encourages visitors and tourists to stay longer. and do more local shopping and dining. And we'll look at how to solve some internet challenges in low and moderate income areas. So as the county moves forward after the end of this study, there are four decisions that will have to be made. The business model, and typically what we recommend, as I mentioned before, is I like to call it the roads model. Local governments and the states build roads, but they don't own the businesses that use those roads to deliver goods and services. So we're not likely to be recommending that the Carbon County commissioners run a new internet service provider business. We know that's really not a good option. So if there is some federal funding and perhaps some state level funding available, there's questions of ownership, who owns the network and who provides fiscal oversight. Some counties are choosing to build their own infrastructure and make that available to private sector providers to reduce their costs of expanding their service territory. Some other local governments are actually passing through subsidies directly to the service providers on the promise of expanding their infrastructure. So financing is important. We will be looking at a variety of funding mechanisms and making some recommendations there. As I mentioned, we'll also be trying to identify and recommend what technology should be used. And all of these come together to help the county make a decision about how to move forward. The COVID crisis has been interesting in a variety of ways. One of the, I think, unexpected outcomes was the much broader acceptance of working from home on a permanent basis. Although many businesses have invited their employees to return to their offices and workspaces, there's many more businesses that are either allowing some employees to now work from home full time, but what's also quite common is allowing them to work from home on an interim, or not an interim basis, but a mixed basis, perhaps 1 or 2 days a week in the office and the rest of the time at home. So that's created the recognition that broadband is truly becoming an essential utility, along with things like water and sewer and roads. And there's a lot of history. It's not a new idea that communities take on a utility. Airports are one of my favorite examples. Air travel would be much more expensive if every single airline had to build their own runways and terminal. But instead, decades ago, we recognized that it was more efficient and cost effective to come together, typically as a region, build an airport and share those facilities with any airlines that wanted to use that to offer air travel. And again, roads are another example. Communities build roads, but it's typically those roads are shared with both the public and private sector. We generally recommend that community projects, in terms of funding, look at a basket of financing strategies. Even given the increased level of funding from the federal government, it's still going to be important to have more than one source of funding. User fees are an interesting approach, and some communities are studying the utility fee model. Last night we had a number of questions about that. I'm simply providing this as information right now. We haven't made any determination whether this is practical or feasible for Carbon County, but I did want to point out that there's a variety of ways of financing broadband outside of just grants, but grants are very important. We've helped with a number of very successful local government-owned networks that used grants to get started, and many of those are now 10 years old or more. We've already started a lot of mapping work, and my next few slides are going to show you just briefly what some of the mapping work we've done already. We are going, as Chris mentioned, we are going to be continuing to talk to stakeholders, interested parties, citizens, businesses, and service providers in Carbon County over the next several weeks to collect information from them. I've got just a couple of questions from the results from the survey so far, and this is based on about 1,300 responses. If you look on the left, if you have 53% of the respondents to the survey say they're working from home part or full time now. So neighborhoods really have become, even rural neighborhoods really have become business districts. The ability to work from home hinges largely on the availability of really good high performance broadband and affordable broadband. On the, I said right, I got my right and my left reversed, but here on the right, one of the last questions on the survey is, should the county government facilitate better and more affordable broadband services? And 87% agree that the county should have a role in facilitating. You'll notice we didn't say, should the county government become an internet service provider? We're simply asking people if they think the county could help in whatever is possible in terms of getting better broadband out into the county. It's just some, I'm going to run quickly through some of the maps we've already put together. On the left, we've begun mapping cell towers, TV towers, radio towers, and other towers in the county. As you might expect, most of the towers are clustered along some of the main roads in the county, and those are mostly cell towers. On the right, we've begun mapping fiber in the county. We are continuing to look at what fiber is available. We're particularly interested in fiber to the home. We learned last night that Windstream, which goes by the brand name of Kinetic, has already begun deploying some fiber to the home in the county, which is really good news. We'll be talking to Blue Ridge and Penn Teledata as well to find out if they have begun deploying fiber to the home, and if they have plans to do so. We want to know where in the county. Our recommendations want to be coordinated and in line with the activities that are already taking place. Internet service providers are required to report data to the FCC twice a year. And so we've pulled the FCC data. Some of you may be aware, this is not always entirely accurate, but we do look at this as a starting point for trying to understand where the need is greatest. And on the left, we have the type of technology that's available in the county, fiber, DSL, cable, and then a combination of those things. On the right, where the FCC thinks, based on self-reporting from the incumbent, mostly from the incumbent providers, where they think the county is fully served, underserved, and unserved. And fully served is defined as having at least 25 meg down and 3 meg up. Today, that's for a lot of people that are trying to work from home or trying to work from home while kids have to do distance learning. 25.3 is not really considered adequate. And in fact, some of the federal grant programs are trying to encourage either 100 meg down and 20 meg up, or even 100 meg down and 100 meg up. So the federal government is trying to gently coax the existing providers and new providers coming into the marketplace to increase speeds to what people really need. We look at some demographic data on the left. Household density helps us understand where more broadband wireless may be needed as opposed to fiber to the home. On the right, we look at areas of the county that may be eligible for HUD grants, often via CDBG funds. And so there's a number of areas of the county where that could be useful in terms of funding. We've also started to look at what's available in terms of services, packages, and prices from the both incumbent and competitive internet service providers in the county.